Guys, Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're on the cusp of season 2, where it's happening today, literally. Not the new season isn't starting, but we got this little week in between season 1 and season 2 where nothing's happening. Going to talk about tanks in season 2 and what I've seen on the PTR. We're going to rank them on the tier list, and I'm going to tell you why I'm ranking each tank.
Now, I don't know where they get this template, but I would love to be able to do my own. I really would, because it would be off of gut feeling. No science behind it. No sims behind it. Just me working the whole YouTube atmosphere.
Where I want to rank it. In season 2 of The War Within, I think there's a couple things that are really important.
Go to the website Tiercraft. Dio, send that to me in a DM, please. If you can get the link, I'll do my own.
Yo, I really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. I gotta get some coffee.
What the fuck is up with his hair, dude? If I had hair like that, I'd take a brush to it, maybe. Cause that he's covering up something there. I don't know.
Of course, tanks need a variety of attributes to like be good, right? They need to have really good threat. Like snap threat is something that you hear people talk about. That's like really, really good. Being able to hold threat against the damage of your DPS. They need to do damage themselves.
Thank you, Dio.
They need utility. They need survivability. They need self-healing. Maybe some off-healing. All these kinds of things are important. Right?
Everything that everybody talks about when it comes to being a tank, being able to survive, being able to self-sustain, being able to now granted, in season 2 here, they've cut back on quite a many tank busters and casting, so that may help them,
right?
Let's see.
Season 2, in my experience, I've done tons of keys now on the PTR. The most important things that are needed from a tank is self-sustain and utility, especially like crowd control on enemies, being able to stop all these different casts that are going off. There are so many casters in season 2. There's so many enemies that are casting dangerous abilities that need to be interrupted. That's really
okay, but they said they weren't going to be having them come off as often. Did they lie? I didn't play any PTR, by the way. I did none.
really important. And there are so many healing checks required from a healer's perspective.
There you go. There, that
the rest
now
of
I've
my
heard.
group, that the tank needs to be the one that I don't have to worry about ever. If I have to worry.
Okay. Well, we both know that's not going to happen. I'm sorry to keep stopping it as much, but I have to try and make sure that I reiterate. Tanks need to be able to self-sustain.
About the tank's HP most of the time, while I'm also worrying about everybody else's HP. It's really bad for the healer. So the tank, like 70 to 80% of the time, needs to be able to take care of themselves.
Trust, Helena.
So I don't have to think about them, so that I can worry about everybody else's health bars, which are getting crushed by the myriad of AoE damage abilities that are in every dungeon. Every dungeon has these crazy pulsing AoE damage abilities that are kind of annoying. But anyway, that's the big criteria there. So with that context in mind, let's talk about the tanks. I'm going to start with Vegeance, and we're going to put Vegeance in S tier. I mean, you've probably seen this already, but a lot of the other lists, Vegeance is going to go into the S tier. The reason I'm putting Vegeance up here, okay? The reason why everybody else is putting Vegeance in S tier is because of their ability to CC mobs, to stop them from casting really important abilities, and their self-sustain is way better than it's maybe ever been before.
That's not the only reason. That is not the only reason. He might cover it more. But number one, let's revert back the changes to where they were able to do it more often. So give them back the 2 charges, because that isn't the only thing that made Vegeance Demon Hunter great. They were very, I wouldn't say they were as bad as being a Death Knight, you know, because there was always an armor hole to hit at, and that armor hole could take you from 100 to 0 in a heartbeat. But how about Let's give him back the crowd control. How about you give everybody else some crowd control? And one of the things that they're doing here in season 2 is they're giving them the damn near ability to keep demon spikes up 100%. That's a huge help. Hey Moshe, how you doing? You can't tank anything if you know how to press your cooldowns. Not top 1% keys, though. There will be a... Yeah, okay. So that's one of the things that I'm saying is that when you're looking at your tanks and they have to decide when to go in, I noticed that me on my Paladin, I've done a little bit of research to start, whirling. I don't know all the names of the spells because I'm one of those dumb dads, the working class guy that I don't have every day to sit here and just like study the game. Hey, Skylar, hello. I'm here to try and make sure that my group doesn't fail. So I watch, people like a Woo Tank. I'll give them a shout on that. I was in a Necrotic Wake. I got all this shit set up. You have to do a setup during the countdown before the curtain drops, and then you get your defensives up, and then you go. Blessed hammer. Okay. So I'm doing all of that. It's whipping around, so it's building up the holy power, and then I'm able to hit righteous shield, right? And then I go in. We crushed everything yesterday. Now, granted, and I know we just got into the fucking video and I'm giving already lectures, but season 2, you have already Shield of the Righteous. All right. So season 2, we now have the new specs in. So if you want to go play as of today, which is February 27th, your spec is live. Your talents are live. Try them out. See what works. Sim what you can.
Right? They have a tier set bonus that procs meta. Meta, a couple patches ago in season 1, got changed so that it now heals the DH as well as giving them max HP, and it heals them for quite a bit. So over the course of a key, you will see a Vegeance
February
DH
28th
healing
for you.
themselves all the time through meta, through these procs that they're getting on meta. And you can see this is a great example of it right here. Everybody's basically at full health, excuse me. Again, from a healing perspective, I don't want to have to think about the tank's health, and I don't in this exact pull. Warp Blood is going off. It's a very dangerous ability. This is one of the pulsing AoE damage abilities. My Vengeance DH's health like barely moves at all. Everybody else's health moves, and I have to worry about that as a healer, but I do not have to worry about my tank, and that is what you want from your tank. That is a huge, huge thing that you want from your tank. Damage-wise, they're also fine. They're doing just as much damage as every other tank. Sometimes they're doing even more. I don't think they're the highest DPS tank.
Well, I know that they've nerfed a lot of the tank damage that's out there, but they're trying to also address the problem with like I said, the multitude of mechanics that are needed to address in the keys. Now, if you just saw here, let me rewind a little bit. Watch for these blades that are coming out.
Sometimes they're doing even
more.
I don't think they're the...
You see those blades? Those are going to chunk. I wish I could do the whole Madden thing and flip it all around. But those are damage dealers.
The highest DPS tank in the game, but those two qualities of having AoE CCs on enemies and then having self-sustain, that...
All right, so once again, they're close, but they're not complete. Meaning Blizzard, the devs, they've taken care of the hard edges for the circles, but not for the frontals. So you're still going to have that problem where some of the frontals are going to be color on color.
That is really what is going to do it for you. And that's why I think Vegeance DH deserves to go into the S tier. So there's a lot of other good examples I can give you, but I just wanted to show you that one right there. And Vegeance DH.
I do like his scarf. I do like the scarf. I think I'm going to steal that. I'm going to go to scarves. Babe, put that on the wish list. I want scarves now.
Absolutely deserves to go to the top.
All colors. Just buy them all.
Of the heap. Okay, Guardian Druid. This is the next one.
I'm not joking. I used to wear scarves all the time.
Put on the list. I'm going to put Guardian Druid in the A+ tier. And I know this sounds ridiculous. This is going to sound ridiculous to some people. I understand.
Yeah, somebody was criticizing Guardian the other day. And I was like, how? Dude, they're fucking rocking. You got Dalgroth. like pushing 3,400 going for number one. And then they just got a buff on their damage.
But if you've had some of the experiences that I've had on the PTR with Guardian Druid, I think you'll understand. Number one, the reason that I'm doing this is because Guardian Druid's self-sustain is incredible. It's as good as Vengeance DH, or maybe even better, depending on what talents you're kind of running. They have so many different sources of self-sustain. These big Dream of Cenarius regrowths are massive. You could take After the Wildfire potentially to do some off healing. Talk about that in a second. You have your Frenzied Regens. You have healing from your Moonbear, Fury, not Fury of Elune, but Elune's Favor. All the different damage that you're doing is basically arcane damage, right? You turn your Thrash into an arcane damage ability, and you're off to the races. So their self-sustain is incredible, which again is the most important thing for tanks in my opinion.
And for Guardian, I've watched some of the content creators out there, and quite honestly, they say it is the easiest. Some of the pros are that they have a nice health bar. They have the ability for the armor, versatility. They have good control of the field. One of the cons was that they couldn't hold threat very well, and I think that the new buff that they got for damage will help them with that. And Guardian is equal to playing Beastmaster Hunter. I've never tried it, but I should give it a go. So they definitely have that. Now there's also I think he'll get to it. They do have the ability to go into a DPS tanking spec with less survivability. I would say that is probably for the more mastered player that is used to playing that. So start off with the survivable ability talent, hero talents. Go that way. Go that way.
Their AoE CC is nowhere near as good as Vengeance DH. That is true. They don't have as much sustain there, but they do have really good, other utility. They have things like being able to soothe. They've got the verse buff from Mark of the Wild, which is really good. There's a lot of really great things going on there. They've got, you could do Ursul's and Typhoon. You've got really good off healing, actually, which I think is another major part of the criteria that I think is going to be important. Again, we talk about pulsing damage, and they have actually the ability.
He's showing Pally. Isn't he supposed to be on a druid?
To heal the rest of your team while the healer is trying to manage the rest of the team as well. There are so many pulsing AoE checks. There's one going off right now. You can see I'm not worried about the Guardian Druid's health, so he's doing just fine. They do not have the same kind of crowd control that a Vengeance DH has, which is why I don't have them in the S tier. And then they also don't have the Vengeance DH buff, which is going to be a magic damage buff. Again, here's another AoE pulse. I just want to highlight all these. This is so ridiculous. These guys do Fan of Knives, which obviously needs to be stunned or crowd controlled in some way. But, the Druid can help with that. He's got his Roar, which is good too. But you've got this Fan of Knives that comes out. There it is right there. Nobody's seeing it, unfortunately. There, he roared right there. You got Fan of Knives, and then you have these big guys that do this pulsing damage as well. There's just so many different sources of pulsing damage in every single dungeon that the healer has to deal with.
That is going to be the main healing check for Season 2. So Skylar, God bless you, man, because you got your work cut out for you. It might not be so bad for the keys that we're talking about. We're talking from 1 to 10. 1 to 10. But if you want to get to that 3K, then we're going to have to start doing some 12s and some 13s. Now, yesterday, for instance, we were running Necrotic Wake. Let me tell you a little story. We were running Necrotic Wake at a 10, and we literally took down every boss like it was a 7. It was insane. They all melted. Crazy. We were able to take my friend J-Ron all the way from 1200 IO because you wanted to get. I thought it was going to be a real slog. I was really hesitant. I thought it was going to be a real slog, and he was our healer. And at 1200, we did 3 keys. Double chested them all except for one. It might have been Necrotic Wake because that was our warm-up key. He had it. He had 2K already. something's up with scaling at the moment. I bet you it is. I bet you it is. Whoa, my man. Thank you so much, Crow. Thank you so much. I hope you had a great raid or a great stream, and welcome raiders. Take a look at Going Goblin achievement. I will. I will. We're watching this video. This is about the tank thingamajigger. It's super easy to get. You're probably almost done with it, honestly. I'll have to check it out. Roato, thank you for the resub. 3 months. 3 months. It's for the Galagio background. Oh, for your is that for the what do they call it? Your you know what I'm saying. The thingamajigger. Achilles, are you ready to see me fail as a healer this season? No, not at all. For the war bands. For the war bands. Exactly. So we'll see what these tanks are, what they're able to accomplish to stay sustained, but it really is going to be a hard healer job to keep them all up if there's nothing but AoE damage going out. That's going to be a problem.
That again, having some off healing potentially from Guardian Druid, I think could be really helpful in the form of After the Wildfire or those Dream of Cenarius procs. If he doesn't need to use them on himself, he could use them on somebody else. So again, I'm not saying, I know nobody has run After the Wildfire in a long time. I understand that, but I'm just saying it's an option. But again, they do not have the exact same kind of utility that Vengeance does with the AoE silent sigils, and they don't have the magic.
Mistwalker monks and druid are probably going to shine in pugs. Mistwalker has gotten a huge buff. They were good already, in my opinion. Anybody that knew how to play a Mistwalker monk, you bring them. You bring Resto Shaman, Mistwalker, Disc Priest. I even go with Holy Priest. Resto Druid to me is kind of last. The last one that I would bring. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments, but I really just feel like that it's just, I don't know.
Damage buff that Vengeance DH has, which I think is going to be important for probably the caster meta that we're going to end up seeing, because Vengeance DH is so strong. And
I've heard that a lot of these dungeons are very melee deprived, or should you say range enhanced, melee not good.
Because Augvoker is not really going to exist anymore. You're going to have things like Fire Mage and Ellie Shaman and probably Destruction Warlock, or maybe even Athlock now, coming into the S tier to run alongside the Vengeance DH and a...
Well, Resto Druid is always going to depend on the person behind the keyboard, pressing the keys. If you're good, you're going to be good. It's like Roato. Let's take Roato, for instance. And I'm sorry, bro, I'm going to throw you under the bus. He is an amazing Windwalker monk. But the man has been playing that class since forever. Since I met him back in like BFA. So he's going, no matter what they do to the class, in my opinion, unless he gets tired of it and he goes to play his hunter, he's going to make everybody else look bad because he just knows the buttons. It's like bring the player, not the class. High ceiling with Druid. Yeah, they got button blow galore. You have to know what every dot's going to do. It's crazy. Hey, Shay, how you doing?
Disc Priest, like that's kind of the comp you're looking at. So Guardian Druid does have a verse buff. They have a battle res as well, which is really good. Again, they have amazing self-sustain, really good off healing, maybe some of the best off healing in the game, even better than Prop Pally if they want to spec into it. And then they're very durable. Their damage is also going up with the notes here. If we look at Druid, you can see
they just
we'll go to Guardian Druid.
They just put notes
damage
up.
is going up.
So like everybody got like a Thursday, Friday night note upgrade.
Mangle damage up, Maul, Raise, Fury of Elune going up by 80%, by the way. The key that I was just showing you, that Guardian Druid in there, his Fury of Elune damage was 4.2% of his damage overall. That's going to go up to like, almost 8. It's going to be like 7% of his damage overall, which is a really big amount of damage. So
Very
they're
nice.
getting a bunch of buffs on damage as well. I think it's going to be a much better situation than people think it is. And I think with the focus in season 2 on needing self-sustain and then potentially off healing for your group, this is where Guardian Druid could kind of kick in and help out a lot. All right, the next one on the list is going to be Blood DK. We're going to put this at the top of A+, a little bit better than Guardian Druid, and I'm going to explain why. Blood DK, of course.
All right, everybody pay attention, because if this looks really good, we all know a certain streamer that plays Blood. We all know him. You know him. I know him. Everybody knows him. Hey, Ganja. We all know a Blood DK. I'm not going to say his name.
Has some of the best, probably the best self-sustain in the game. I don't know. It's kind of rivaled these days by like Vengeance DH, in my opinion, and potentially Guardian Druid. But they obviously have an incredible way to just keep themselves alive all the time with Death Strike. If Blood DK is not getting one shot, then they are the best tank in the game because they can always recover with Death Strikes, right? They can always recover. Their damage is also going to be very, very high in season 2 with the tier set bonus they're getting, which is this cleaving death.
How dare you? What do you mean? How you doing, Sam's Well Spot? No, sorry, we're doing a react video.
Strike, tier set bonus, and you can spec into multiple talents and even an enchant. There's a DK enchant that you can put on that buffs the damage of Death Strike and makes it really, really strong. You can see he's doing 4 million damage per second right now, which is like insane to me.
Yeah, he's doing 4 million, but everybody is off. Like the mage, which you can't see because my thing is in the way. He's doing nearly 8 million. You got the shaman doing nearly 8 million. You have the hunter. Looks like Marksman Hunter doing 545 million.
So I think Blood DKs are going to have some of the highest damage in the game, which is a good thing for tanks. That's going to help you with your threat. He's almost doing 5 million. Like, what is this guy doing? I don't even know what he's doing. He's not an Augvoker. I have no idea what he's doing.
There is no
They have really good self-sustain.
He said they have an Augvoker. There is no Augvoker in that group. Maybe he has streamer brain right now.
Which, again, I talked about being an important criteria. They have pretty good utility as well when it comes to crowd controlling enemies. You have Gore Fiends if you want to take it. You have 2 charges of regular grip, which is really important. You have Slappy Arms, right? Which is going to be pulling enemies in as well. And whenever you're doing that, you're generating threat on them. You're generating Bone Shield charges. And, of course, you're stopping them from casting important abilities. That is really, really good. So Blood DK has some incredible crowd control. That way, the ability to stop enemies if needed, which it is needed all the time. And again, their sustain is probably the best in the game. I think that the only issue for them is that they don't offer they don't offer like a aura buff, in the sense that they don't have a verse buff or a demon hunter magic damage buff, right? So they're missing some of that, which does kind of suck for them. But again, they have the tools that you need in season 2 to be successful.
Okay, well, I disagree with that, Helena. I think the only hunter that isn't a hunter is survival. That's my thought on it.
You can just find those aura buffs somewhere else. And I think their damage is going to be absolutely outrageous. So I would put them in the A tier there, the A+ tier. Sorry, I just lost my list.
That's his fucking... You guys cannot tell him that I watched this video and laughed at him. You can't, because I want to keep watching his content and I don't want him to ban me. Okay, I'll go follow him on Twitch and everything, and I'm going to subscribe to his channel. But
in the A+ tier, I think they're better than Guardian Druid for sure in terms of what they offer. They do, again, they don't have that aura buff, but just bring a Balanced Druid or something, or a Feral, and you'll have that verse buff if you need it. Very, very strong Blood DK heading into season 2. I've seen a bunch of them on the PTR, and I've never had to worry about their health bar as a healer. So that to me is the most important thing. I can focus on the 4 other people in my group, including myself, and not have to worry about this tank. Okay, let's talk about Brewmaster. All
right, Brewmaster, before he goes into it, chat. Before he goes into it, Brewmaster looks like what? To me, anyone that's playing Brewmaster with a nice IO and a nice item level, they know what they're doing. So I believe that even Ralphie, I believe that even a B+ player can do well. But I'm going to say for those here in the tier list, they could just be a B. Now they do bring a buff. They can definitely self-sustain. They're bad against magic damage. Their damage output is high, in my opinion. At least if they haven't changed anything from back in like what was that where we had a Taltazar? Not BFA. I'm talking about when they brought it back. That was Dragonflight Season 3?
I'm going to put Brewmaster in the A category. Now, I know a lot of people are ranking it like lower than that, but I honest to God feel like people just don't understand Brewmaster.
It's big brain. Okay, and I'll agree with them on that. Fucking Brewmaster is a big brain tank.
Seriously, they don't really know them that well and don't play them that much because
It
it's
is
definitely the
Season
least
3.
played tank. It's almost the least played spec in the entire game. And if you look at Shaw, for example, I'm going to link Shaw down below, by the way. He's a really, really good Brewmaster player.
Yeah, I watch Shaw videos all the time.
Doing a plus 15 key right now on the PTR. This is the video of it. Plus 15 Theater of Pain. That's a 15, guys. Like, this is a serious key. This is ridiculous. And watch his shield. Look at his shield right now. This is like a 14 million Celestial Brew that he just pumped out. He doesn't have a Disc Priest giving him shields. Nobody else is giving him shields. That's just him. And it's an absolutely ridiculous. So
what does that mean? What? Wait, I don't understand. So he's taking, so the white bar there, is that a shield to absorb the damage so that he could press, like Fortified Brew or Purified Brew? Okay, that's his shield. It's the least played because you kind of use your brain and has more than 4 buttons, same as Warrior, but you use my brain as well. No thanks. All right. The mobs have to go through the shield before it okay. All right. But this is only for, and as you can see, this is only for physical damage. It's not for magical. Nobody's casted a single spell yet, so this is all physical, which the Brewmaster can shirk.
I think if people understood how to play Brewmaster better, then they might rank it higher because it is getting a lot more self-sustain in Season 2 with things like Master of Harmony plus the tier set bonus. The tier set bonus procs Fortifying Brew, and there's a talent in Master of Harmony that makes Fortifying Brew give you a little bubble, like a shield, every time it activates. So, and the shield is really big. So you can, and it ends up equaling like 8 to 10% of your healing overall and gives you an additional form of self-sustain, which is...
Bro, he's putting in front of me right now a challenge for me to try Brewmaster. I'm just saying, he's throwing down a challenge. And I hear you see me. I'm gonna level up my fucking Rocky Balboa. Don't do it.
Something that Brewmaster monks are sorely lacking, right? Their ability to sustain themselves has been traditionally pretty low. And so, however, I will say if you are I'd say the average Brewmaster is going to struggle to stay alive, but a really good Brewmaster is not, because I've seen really...
See, he just fucking called me out, bro. He just called me out. He's like, you think you do, but you don't. You think you do, but you don't.
Really good Brewmasters like Shaw in my keys, and I never have to worry about their health bar as a healer. But the bad ones, the majority of the time, you get ones that aren't as good, and you do have to worry about their health bars constantly.
If I got people from this community healing me, and like somebody like Hellraiser walking me through Brewmaster, I can't go wrong.
And so it's just a difference in experience. But I would say that Brewmaster can be absolutely fine. Look at the damage and healing that he's doing.
Dude, I have fantastic fingers. They called me Fast Finger Freddy.
He's almost doing 2 million HPS. He's doing 3 million DPS on the 4-target cleave there. Like, I just think he was doing even more at the beginning. I think that this is...
I double dog dare you.
Something that people are sleeping on right now. And I think that if you go watch Shaw and watch him play, he's doing absolutely crazy.
Hold on, Grenade. You wouldn't say that on yesterday's keys, Grenade. Yesterday, I was flawless.
The amounts of damage and healing. Now, they also bring...
There was like a light bulb went on above my head, and I was like Flame on! And then I just did it. I did it.
Mystic touch. So for a physical damage
Can't we do five finger Freddy, or is that too many?
position, they're very, very good to have a Brewmaster, right? They have decent CC, but not as good as Blood Decay, not as good as an AoE silence from a Vengeance DH. So they have things like, you know, Ring of Peace and an AoE leg sweep. Those things are good. Paralyze can be good. But at the end of the day, they just don't have as much crowd control as some of the other tanks. Excuse me. And then their aura buff is not as useful as like a versatility buff or a magic damage buff, right? Most people in the game deal magic damage, not physical damage. So if you can construct a composition around a Brewmaster Monk, then it's
Why? How many letters do we get for their name?
really good. But again, for those reasons, I think it does fall to the A tier. I think it's being slept on though in a big way, and I think Brewmaster deserves to probably get more love than it's getting right now. Okay, last two, we got Paladin. We're gonna put Paladin in the S tier. Once again, I think this is common knowledge at this.
That's right, baby. That's me. That is me. And yesterday I proved it.
Point, but
Fisting. Now I
Paladins
will
like
definitely
snap,
get banned.
threat,
Shut up.
AoE
cheeky.
silence on multiple enemies at the same time. That kind of stuff makes them really, really potent, and their damage and healing are also just as good as any of the other tanks. This is a really crazy pull. I just wanted to show you here that we were all going to die, but the tank actually managed to live
Hey,
for a while.
Heisen.
This is a pretty tough pull. You have to deal with all the detonates, but the healing from Prop Pally is also very strong, with the potential, like Guardian Druid, to have exceptional off healing. They can actually keep the rest of their team alive as well. Things like
Fuck that. I ain't off healing any of you motherfuckers. You in trouble? You better get your shit straight.
Lay on hands. Blessing of Sacrifice is really good to help somebody stay alive, or to avoid a one shot, right? You can save somebody's life. You can Blessing of Spell Loading.
I'm not helping you guys.
You have all this extra utility, which is
You guys are being like, hey, how about you pass me some, what is that called? Sacrifice, or, you know, that one thing where I'm supposed to take your damage, and I'll be like, shh, that guy is fucking done.
really, really good. You can have an AoE
I'll freedom you, but that's all you're gonna get from me.
interrupt with the blind or the incap, sorry. But the reality is their CC, like the utility they give to their team is very good. The utility they have in terms of crowd controlling enemies is not as good as some of the other tanks, but except
Is it a 2-set or a 4-set that gives you? Because it's probably gonna be my tank.
for their Avenging Shield, stopping the kicks, which is really good. So you have an AoE Avenger Shield with Divine Toll, right? And then you have a regular Avenger Shield, which resets its own cooldown constantly. And that is going to provide you with an enormous amount of stopping power on enemy spellcasts, which is a huge deal in Season 2. It's
Yeah, so what I've been doing here lately, since I was becoming a real tank, is I was hitting the shield, or the ability that I don't see it on his bars. What the fuck is he pressing? Anyways, it has the 3 charges, and I was hitting that. It would light up my Shield of Righteous. I popped that, and I was Gucci. Like, there was nothing that was gonna hurt me.
really important. So for that reason,
Oh, this is Holy Pally? Okay,
to go
thank
S
you.
tier. And their
I'm like, what the fuck is all this stuff? I don't even...
defensive package is just really good. They have a lot of defense, a lot of cooldowns they can use, and their damage is really good as well.
Well, then why is he doing... Should we really be listening to this guy? He's... I'm joking. Love you. Love you. No, I haven't... This is your first video. I'm listening.
So I think Prop Pally deserves to go into the S tier. They have a battle res. They've got the stops for the enemies. They have self-sustain, which is the most important tank quality in my opinion. You don't have to worry about them as a healer. They have a lot of really good things going on, and I think they absolutely deserve to be up here. Okay, that brings us to Warrior, which is the last one. I'm going to put it in the A tier right now. I don't actually have any footage of one. I didn't have too many Warriors in my keys on the PTR, but I'm putting it in A tier because they are the tank that lacks the most self-sustain and the most utility of all the tanks, right?
They have like no utility. Like, what utility do they have?
Right?
Hey,
they have things like
Chip.
Shockwave, which is really nice. You could take Intimidating Shout, but like nobody ever does that. So you basically have
Not
Shockwave
anymore.
and then Stormbolt as your CC. You can stun people as well with one of your charges, of course, with Shield Charge. But At the end of the day, the amount of crowd control and enemy stops that you have compared to other tanks is really abysmal. So you can't fill in that role, which I think kind of sucks. Your self-sustain is fine, but it's definitely worse than every other tank, right? You have things like Victory Rush and Ignore Pain all the time that you can be casting, but they're not as good as these other healers in terms of actually staying alive.
Okay, now I have a warrior that I tank with. And I didn't really see a problem. They're mobile because of their heroic leap. You know, they could, of course, they have their shield wall, and then they have, what else? They have so many things that, like, if you time them right, it's very easy. So I'm listening to his perspective, but I also know of Jason Lucas, who does the starting zone, by the way. He plays nothing. Like, he just got done beating Zek with a warrior, a prop warrior, and he said he was in there for like an hour. He might even beat my time.
An HP, once a warrior's HP bar starts dropping below like 50%, you're in big trouble. You have to heal them big time. As a healer, that's not really tenable in season 2. There are so many AoE damage checks that you have to deal with that you just don't have time to get your warrior back up to full health as well. So I'm a little worried about
why doesn't their whole regenerate thing come from their god damn it, he just said it, I totally fucking lost the word. It's incredibly boring because it's brown. And it's brown. It's a very boring color.
warrior for sure. Their damage is exceptional, and I know there's been videos going around of them out DPSing other DPS right now. I understand that, but strictly, in my point of view, in the higher level keys, the most important.
There was an ability that I was asking. There was an ability that they had for the regeneration, kind of like a frenzy regeneration. What do they have to regen some of their HP?
Qualities that a tank needs is that ability to keep themselves alive and the ability to stop enemy spellcasts, and warrior is the worst at doing all of those things. So I think it deserves to go down in the A tier below Brewmaster. Brewmaster has a lot more utility compared to warrior, but warrior does have an enormous amount of damage and does bring that physical attack damage buff, so you can build around it if you want to build a physical damage comp as well. It does have some good things going for it, but at the end of the day, the qualities that I think are the most important for tanks, it does not have. Okay, there's your list, guys. I think these are the tanks. Again, just a TLDR, not a TLDR, but a little, disclaimer. I think that you could bring any of these tanks to any of your keys and you could time a plus 12. I have timed plus 12 keys on the PTR with every single one of these tanks. Okay, it's doable. It's possible. It's just, I think that in season 2, you're really going to be relying on the tanks that have the ability to keep themselves alive so that you never have to worry about them as a healer. I'm telling you, that is the most important thing. And you're going to notice it when you have to worry about a tank's HP bar versus when you don't. Okay, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.
There you have it, everybody. Hot damn. I will link this video down below so that this way you guys don't miss out on the fun and without my commentary. If you don't agree with this video, by all means, leave something in his chat, leave something in mine. I'm going to like it and I'm going to subscribe. This is called Zuko Wow. Let's see what happens. I mean, let's see where his tier list actually lands. You know what I'm saying? That's all you can do.